As you guys already know that I have uploaded a Nextjs playlist and where I talked about all the server actions features and build a project with it and showed you all the features including it and how you go through it. Okay, so this is really new for the beginners, especially if you are a JavaScript developer. You must know the Nextjs, and Nextjs is fantastic. It gives you all the things that you need, including the full stack development. So some React developers, when they come into the Nextjs for the first time, they are having some problem. So server actions is one of the best features that you can have. Without building an API, you can consume it, use the get request, post request, put request, delete request. You can handle everything. Okay, you can build the full applications. But in some cases, you need the Nextjs API route with the app route. And how you can manipulate all of this stuff, how you can pass data from client to the backend, and from the backend to client, how you can interact with it. So for that, in some special cases like filtering, for some searching based on it, if you have multiple search feature, multiple like filtering feature based on the price, based on the category, based on this created ad, based on different kind of information, if you want to filter some data, we're going to use the Nextjs query string, which is the most famous way to do this in the Nextjs paradigm. And from client to the backend, you need to fetch all this information. And we're going to work with the Nextjs API route, create, delete, update, features, all of this stuff. And we're going to manage all of this thing and eventually manage the caching system as well. Okay, so you need to update the cache to make the application real time. After deleting, after adding, you have to make sure you might just manage your cache properly and refresh your router from the client. So both of the things would be discussed, and you can talk about all of this stuff, and you're gonna learn amazing stuff from there. So this is the Eid gift for you guys, and as you know, the Eid is coming, so this is the special gift for you, because so many of the students requested me to make a video on how they consume the Nextjs API route, how can you make this API route, because they are already familiar with the server actions. Now they want to understand how the API route works in the Nextjs applications, especially the Nextjs 4. So today I'm gonna understand everything related to it. So let's jump into it. So now is the perfect time to show you how the API route work in Nextjs. So let's jump into it. I'm gonna convert everything that we have in the server actions into the API route. Okay, so basically all the things are really similar. If we go into the actions, we're gonna change especially the add block. This is the feature we're gonna change into API route. So this is the first thing that we're gonna do, and then we're gonna jump into the more complicated stuff, which is the search and the filter stuff. Okay, so those are the things that you need to really need in order to work with the Nextjs API route. So those are the main basic stuff there. So first we're gonna jump into our API folder. So if you have, I have the admin panel as well, because if you have admin panel, if you have multiple moderator, if you have editor, you should create a different kind of API segment. Like if I have admin, I'm going to write API/admin, because this admin folder will hold all the API required by the admin. Okay, so I'm not doing it. I'm going to show you the basic stuff. Just I'm going to create one more API folder, which is for admin. Only admin can access this thing. And admin, we're going to add like one more folder, because this is the folder structure how the Nextjs uses to maintain its API routes, its routing system. So in API, we have to write add like blog. So this is our API to add a blog, and here we need to create a new file called route.js. If you are using TypeScript, it is route.ts, but it's JS. Okay, so here this is a very basic template. I'm gonna copy everything that we have in the register because those are the similar stuff. You can copy. I already made a course on this. You guys definitely have to check this out. So this is the thumbnail that I'm going to show you, that in this course I talked about all this stuff regarding all this stuff. Like I implemented the Prisma and control all of the thing like user, blog, comment system, all of this stuff, one-to-many relationship, and parent and child relationship, all the thing I have added. Okay, even the role system as well. So this video is only to show you how the API route works. Okay, especially for the blog. So I'm going to copy everything and I'm going to paste inside this admin/add blog, which is our API folder. Okay, now here we just need to modify something. Okay, so in this we don't need anything. We don't need to check if he is exist or not. We don't need any of this stuff. Just clean everything. Need the Prisma client, so this is the most important stuff, and this function name should be export async function post. If you are working with get, it is async function get. If you are working with put, it should be async function put. Okay, so this is this stuff. So here I'm going to use only the post because I'm adding the post request into the database. So it takes you can keep it empty, but normally I keep it request and params. Okay, if you have a parameter, okay, then you have to use this thing. Okay, then you can use this thing. Okay, so that's why I'm keeping it for this purpose at this moment. But if I go into our ad block page, if I go to blogs, if I go to ad block page, this page, as you can see, I have worked with ad block form, and there, as you can see, I have worked with the ad block. If I go into the ad block, I have this server actions. Now I'm going to convert everything from this place into our page. Okay, so you're going to copy this thing, same stuff we can copy, and we can copy up to this point. So these are all the things that we need. You can copy all of this stuff and go inside there and paste it. Beautiful. And it should work just fine. Okay, you can check the session. You have to import it, get server sessions, and have to import the auth options. Okay, as you can see, it is added. And remove everything. We don't need any comment, because only admin, and if the user has permission to create the block, then he can create it. Okay, this is the system I have built. But in in this request.json, in the API route, you cannot get the data like that. It's completely different. So I'm going to copy all of this stuff and paste it here, and here I'm going to do all this stuff here beautifully. Here you have to use await request.json, because this is how the data is coming from our client side to our backend. Okay, request.json, this is how we're gonna hold it. And first one is the image URL, and make sure it matches with this. Okay, and it should give matches where it should match with the prisma.schema model. Okay, image URL, title, description, it should be matched with this. So we need to get all this stuff, and then we have the blog title, then we have the category, we have the description. All these are the 4 basic fields that are required. Okay, and we can get all the stuff, and here I'm gonna put everything. Like you can image URL, inside the image URL, and you can get all this stuff similarly. If it is there, you can use image URL, otherwise none. Simple, very simple stuff. And same goes for the title as well. You can write it like this. Okay, but the key and the value name is same, so we don't need that. And we have the category that we got, and from the client side, then we have the description, then we have the author ID. This is the author who is actually adding the blog. Okay, that's why you need the session.user.id. If you want to check if we have a session, and then we have a user, and definitely we have an ID of the user who is adding this. Okay, to keep track which is the author is. Okay, beautiful. So these are really perfect. So these are the only difference, that we are getting all the data using request.json in the await. Okay, and we're gonna check if the session user is admin, or he or the user who has the permission to create block can only add this block. So I'm gonna add this thing as a data. So data is equals to new data. You can pass this data, or it's completely up to you, whatever you want. So you're gonna pass all the data here. Okay, so this is the place, so I'm going to add the block. And if it is not permitted, if the user is not admin, or he doesn't have any create block permission, then we're going to return something else. Okay, so you don't have permission, you do not have add blog permissions. Okay, so this is the thing that you're going to show. And you can just write 403, this is forbidden, or 403, you can add 500 as well. So if this is successful, and then he can add the block and revalidate the path. So revalidate path is really important. And if we go to the action.js, you already have seen that the revalidated path actually revalidate the cache, because you have added a new data into the database. So it should let the cache know that a new value is added to the database, and now it's time to update its cache. Otherwise it won't be real time. You won't see the data inside this in this blog pages. Okay, so you won't see the real time blogs in this page if you don't do this otherwise. Okay, so all the data is added, then we revalidate the path, and you need to import this as well, revalidate path, or you can use revalidate tags as well. After that, that's why the revalidation is super important, and you can just remove this redirect, we don't need at this moment. Okay, so you can do it in the front end, but revalidate path you cannot do it in the front end. It is obviously you have to do it in the back end, which path you want to revalidate. If I log in as admin, so you will see everything. We can have the ability to create the block. As you can see, now we have the ability to create the block, and we can do something, we can add some informations. So that's beautiful. and this is the thing that we're going to work on. And we need to go into admin/add block page, then we can add this block. So I have to go inside our add block form, and here instead of using this thing, I'm gonna just comment out all of the stuff that I have written. I'm gonna comment the whole system. I'm gonna comment all of this out, but we need to just remove these actions as well, because now we don't need any actions. React hook forms, which is really good for your performance. If you have a very complex form, you can use this stuff. As you can see, if I go to React hook forms and get started, I'm gonna install this thing, and this is the thing that we need. We need to copy and paste this out. So this is the more professional way how to handle the form actions, and this is the form that you need. If you have very complicated form in a very professional website, then React hook forms will give you the best performance possible. So why is so good? Let me show you. So npm run dev to run the server again. Let me show you why it's so performant. So if I go to the home, they have given a simple example why the performance is so good. So we have a multiple child. This is one child, this is another child, this is another child. If I type something, as you can see in the React hook forms, only this form field is interacting with it. Nothing is rendering. Only the form is actually just flickering. As you can see, only this form field is flickering, but others are not. This child are not flickering as you typed with it. As you can see, only this part is working. But if I type something here, as you can see, all the child component is also flickering. So this has some performance issue if you don't use React hook forms, especially for the large, very complicated forms. You must use the React hook forms. It is very high performance thing. So that's why I'm showing you all the stuff. So this is the gift for you for this, especially during the ETH session as well. And we have to use hook forms. And this is the way we're gonna do all of this stuff. So if I go to register fields, so you have to use forms. Okay, so this is the way you're gonna use forms. So we're gonna open this thing, and I'm gonna show you everything how we can do this. So under this const, and we're gonna use form, and as you can see, use form is coming from React hook forms, and it has some more features like more functions and attributes. Like you can import, register, handle, submit, all of this stuff. So keeping all this aside, I'm gonna here, first thing is register. This is how we register our field. Then we have a handle, submit. When we do the handle, submit system, we can add those stuff to handling something. And then we have form state, so that we can handle the errors. All of this stuff, you don't need to memorize thing, but all of the things are in the documentation. This is very awesome. Okay, so this is how you can use this stuff. So let's use this thing on submit, and we can name it on submit. Beautiful. And it takes some data, and you can console.log data that we collect from the form. Okay, and here you need to use on submit like you used to do in the React. Okay, similar. And here you're gonna call this handle submit, and here you need to pass this on submit handler function on submit. Beautiful. This is the way you can get all the data from the form inside this data. Now we need to register it. So under the register, we're gonna use triple dot and register. And here we're gonna give a proper name like image URL. This is the unique name it should have. And then we can use one more thing. We can pass required is equals to true. You can pass some other parameters as well, value as date, value as number, or whatever. If you want to check the error, you can also do this. But let me add all the stuff first. And this is a required field, but this field is not required. Image is not that important. But title is required. You can copy the same thing, and this should work just fine. This is for the title, and title is required. And description as well. Here you can pass this register as well, and its name should be description. This is how it will understand and register it. And it should be title. This is image URL. This is title, and this is not required. And then we have a category, and that should be required. And register it as category. Okay, and this should be required. Okay, field. So and then we have the button, and this is a if I just click on this, this is a usable button. We have the level and kernel, we have the level and color that we pass from our parent component to our child component, and it makes sure it is a use client because button is a client component. Okay, I'm gonna pass all the stuff, and this is a submit type. So if I go to our add block form, from where we're gonna add all the stuff, everything is setup is done, registry is done. Now we can add an error handling as well. If I go to register field, and if we have a list of validation support here, as you can see, if I just zoom in, you have the required, you have the max length, you have the min length, you can add a pattern to it, or you can do whatever you get, add range, minimum value, maximum value. It has thousands of features that you can use, but we really want to handle the errors. So how we can handle the errors? We can see we got the errors object from the form state. Okay, and error.mail, if you have any error in the mail, then it will show us this thing. Okay, and here I'm gonna paste this errors dot, here it is title, because title is required. Title error.title dot message. Okay, if we have first, it will collect all the information from the form as we have registered it. As you can see, we have registered everything. Now if I add image link, like any title, any description, any category, add this thing, and we can obviously check this out inside the console.log. In the object, as you can see, we have the category, description, image URL, title. As you can see, we got all the information that we have typed properly, and it is picture perfect. Okay, so if I just see, data is giving us an object that has all the values. If we see again, it gives us an object that have category, description, title. These are the key properties. Okay, so that's really awesome. You can also get it from object.keys, and you're gonna pass the data. You get all the keys from there. Okay, so there are multiple ways how to get that, but this is the way we're gonna collect this information. Now we're gonna do the API call. So now we need to have an API call so that we can connect our client to our backend. Okay, so for that I have already built something, which is our auth folder. If you go to the register, here I have built an API call system here. Okay, we can just copy all the stuff, and you also need the e.prevent default, so you can copy the whole stuff and paste it inside here. Okay, so inside here we need e.prevent default. That looks good, and you can remove this. We're gonna just write console.log error, and I'm gonna print error. Okay, so that's much better. I'm gonna remove everything. So now it looks better, and first we have to call the API. So our API is API/admin/addBlock. Okay, so we have to add this /API/admin/addBlock. So this is our API that we want to connect. And before that, this is a asynchronous task. We have to use async. Okay, so then we can use await to add the block. So what I did there, I just added a method post and headers and body, and passed all this data as JSON stringify format inside the body parameter. So this is the very common thing. Only the thing is different is you have to pass this admin API if you want to get inside this API route handler. Okay, so that's the most stuff. And if the response is okay, you can console.log, and you can use toast. As you can see, I already have the toaster. You can get this inside if it is okay. First we need to refresh the form, so that's why we're using that ref, so that we can clear the form and uncomment this out. Okay, new block added, and instead of this you can use a template string. And for that you need to get the data. So data is await response. This should be inside this res.json, and from here you're gonna get the data. Okay, you're gonna get data.message. Okay, so this is the thing we want to pass, because if I go into our admin/addBlock route, I have added a message. So this is the same thing, blog added successfully. This should we can access this message inside our this add blog form. Okay, so data.message. Okay, so this is this stuff. So it will show us the blog added successfully if the response is okay. So this is the most important stuff there. And we need to clear the form as well. So these are very easy stuff, and if you have some error, you can also show it there. So let's check it out. And okay, we're gonna add a new data, and this is new awesome blog, and give it as a big description, and the category is movies, suppose, and add the blog. So let's check it out. So let's check our network tab. So let's check our network tab and add this thing. So it has some problems. Let's check it out. This is not defined. Revalidated path is not. So the problem is revalidated path is not defined. So we need to revalidate the path. Okay. So this should be revalidate the path. Okay. Now it should work. Revalidate the path. Which path? This path, blog/add blog. So this is the page from where we're gonna add all this thing. So that's why I need to revalidate the path and revalidate the cache based on this page only. Okay. So now if I add this thing, as you can see, blog added successfully. It has worked perfectly. There is nothing. There are no problem. Only that we didn't import the revalidated path. So that's why it didn't work properly. So now cache it update. So now cache is updated, and if you just go inside the home, you see all the latest content. So as you can see, new awesome blog instantly. If you want to just go to redirect to that page after it is added, you can also do this from add blog form. After it is successful, you can use router.push, and for that you need to import that as well. Is equals to use router, and it should come from next navigation. And you can, after it is successful, you're gonna just clean the form and router.refresh. You can use router.refresh to clean the cache as well. You can from there, after the form is successfully resetted, you can use router.push from one page to another page. You can push to home page, and the home page is actually the blogs page. Okay, /blogs. Okay, after it is added successfully. So now if I just refresh it, and if I go to create blog, and if I do add one more blog, this is the dummy blog. Let's add a dummy blog. We're gonna remove this thing later. New blog added. So as you can see, we have to refresh, otherwise it is not showing us the real time. So that's the problem. So one thing you can do, you can revalidate the path of the root page. So after you add something, this page /blog should be revalidated. Okay, so that it can show us the real content. Okay, real-time content, that whatever I added. And in the add blog form in our client, you can still use router.push, because this is very important, because now currently where I'm in the add blog page, it should go into our blogs page. Okay, similarly. So if I just now add a simple blog, this is like any title and new blog. I'm gonna copy this stuff, movies, add blog. See, it has worked perfectly, and you can go inside this content as well. So it works really fine. So these are the nitty-gritty you have to check. After it is successfully done, after the adding is done in the client, you can refresh the form. This is very important, and then you can router.push whatever page you want to go from our client page. Your create blog page, this is our main page that we have added, and after it adds, it should go into our home page, and the home page should be revalidated. This is the most important stuff that I forgot to add. So this is the important stuff. We want to show the real-time content. This is the page you want to revalidate. Okay, so our adding is done, and I'm not going to do this for the update is also similar. You have to do it like update/blog, and you need to get the blog ID. Here you can pass blog ID, and you can create a route.js file, and we're going to copy everything and paste here. Instead of post, it should be put, and everything is similar. So it would be update instead of create, and you need to update based on like ID. Blog ID is the whatever blog ID the user passed, and you need to collect the ID blog ID using the params dot blog ID. However we send it, this is a dynamic parameter, as you can see, blog ID. So this is how we're going to get the ID, blog ID, and based on this ID we're going to get this data and update this blog. And every data that we got from the user, we're going to collect it using the same way. I have done all the revalidation of path, everything is done. But if you want to revalidate the cache for the updated blog, you need to go inside this blog slash update page, so like blog slash update blog. So this is the page, as you can see, this is the update page. You're gonna copy all the stuff, and this is the page after you update all the data. This is the page that should be revalidated. Okay, and you can check this out as well. Then you need to have a dynamic data. Okay, update blog slash, this should be about blog. This should be about blog ID, which blog I'm updating. You can revalidate the path, this one, or you can revalidate the path. And if you want to show up the updated content inside the blogs after it is updated, you should revalidate these blogs again. Okay, and if you want to revalidate only the path, in which path you are updating, you can also do that, but I'm just keeping it very simple like that. So if you want to have a dynamic information, you can also use template string, whichever path you want to revalidate, and it will update the cache based on it if you want to make it real time. So this is the updated work, this is the updated code, and this is how you're going to get the dynamic ID inside the Nextjs. Very awesome, very easy and awesome stuff. This is nothing complicated here, and I'm gonna write blog updated successfully. But now what is the main important stuff I'm gonna talk about? So let me show you the delete first, because delete is also really important. So I have a button called delete. Okay, so if I want to click on this, it should get deleted. So before that, I want to just build the API. So that is the very easy stuff. And in the admin, API slash admin, I want to make a folder called like remove blog. And similarly, I need an ID because I need to remove a particular blog by its ID. I created a dynamic API routes, and here I'm going to create a new file called route.js, and it should be almost similar to this. Paste stuff there, and this should be delete request. And here from the params, I need to get the blog ID, and you don't get anything from our client, only the ID that we need. This is the ID. Based on this, we're gonna get all this stuff, and you can check whether he's admin or not. You can check everything, and we don't need all stuff. This is very simple, and you're gonna use only await prisma.blog.delete. Okay, you're gonna delete where blog ID is equals to ID that I passed in. And if you want to include something, suppose in delete you don't need this, but I'm just showing you, you can if you want to fetch something, if you want to like find many, if you want to find all the blogs including all the comments, you can use all the comments here. You can pass all the comments using the Prisma ORM. This is very simple. If you have multiple childs like comments, reviews, you can just get all this data along with the blocks. Okay, so this is one stuff, and you can use select as well. If you want to get only the title, you can get the title, or if you want to get the created at data, you can get the data only the two information. Instead of all the data, you can only select only two information. So these are all very important. So now we just focus on the delete. So let's do the delete the blog, and we need to revalidate the path property, and blog deleted successfully. Okay, you do not have delete blog permissions. Okay, beautiful. And we don't need to check this stuff because only admin can delete the blog. Okay, and we don't need the request as well here. Awesome. So our API creation is done. So we need to go into remove blog slash blog ID. So this is the API route we need to go. And if I go into blog item, if I go inside the blog item, we have the delete button. As you can see, we have the delete feature. Now we need to build the API routes for that. And similar to our add form, we're gonna have this thing. We're gonna copy all the stuff, and we're gonna go inside our this blog item, and here we're gonna pass all the stuff. So const delete blog handler. We're gonna create a handler function, and we're gonna just pass all this data here. We're gonna collect our blog ID. Okay, we're gonna collect our blog ID, whatever ID we got, and we want to delete that feature. Okay, here we're gonna go inside our API, whichever our API route is remove blog / blog ID. So it should be dynamic. So because we have a dynamic ID, so API /admin / remove dash blog / the ID. So this ID is this. You can pass whatever we got from our component blog.id, or you can get this thing by this ID, because we already destructured all the information that we got from the blog object, and you can pass the simple ID. That is better, and it should be asynchronous task because this is a delete operation for that is included in the database. So every database related work, deleting, updating, put, add, selecting, everything should be asynchronous, and it should use async await feature in the JavaScript. And this method is it should be delete. Method is delete, and you don't need the headers, all of the stuff, everything. This is similar, and you don't need to pass anything. And here you can pass one more thing, which is cache, no cache. Okay, so if you use no cache, it will not cache anything. Okay, so for deleting, it is very important because you need to manipulate the cache, because you are deleting something from the database, so you are doing some operations. Then you need to just handle the caching as well, because if you don't do this, you won't see, if after deleting you won't see this thing again is stay out there. It is not deleted properly from our UI. You need to clean the UI properly after it is deleted. This information should be gone from here. Okay, so otherwise it will not work. So whatever you pass from the blog ID, it should be blog ID. So this is the thing that I forgot, and just copy all the stuff, and on click, as this function has a parameter, we need to use this arrow functions in here, and we need to use the delete blog handler. Copy this function name, and it needs a parameter which is an ID of the blog that we got from here, this ID. And if I pass the ID, it will collect it inside this argument blog ID, and based on this I'm going to remove this thing. Okay, so if it removes properly, if the ID is removed, we don't need to router.push anymore. Okay, and we can just show the message that it is deleted. Dynamic ID, and we need to check data.message it is registered properly or not. Revalidate the path, and then block data successful. Yes, this is the message. So this is the message that we should collect if something happens. Okay, if it is successful, and make sure it is a cache, no cache, or no store. What you can try different kind of way, and if you use no cache, it will have no cache. Okay, based on it will not cache this thing. So this is the thing that it says. So let's try this, and we have to delete this feature, and this should be deleted properly. So let's check if it is working or not. So first I want to delete and refresh this, and I'm gonna delete this thing. So if I go to remove blog, if the ID, we also want to check if the ID is not undefined, then we can do all this stuff. Okay, else you can just write console.log ID not found. Okay, so if the ID is there, then we can also delete this stuff. Right, blog prisma.blog.delete, and then it should work. Okay, yeah, ID not found. So this is the thing, we don't have the ID. So let me check all the stuff inside our blog item, ID and blog ID. So this is ID from the client. Okay, we should see it in the client side, and if I just refresh this, and we should check it out. ID, we got the ID, but why it can't pass this thing? Should JSON blog ID, otherwise empty string. So let's check if it is working or not. So let's again yeah, now it got the ID inside this blog, so you have to add this thing. So this is the thing that is important. If you don't find it, add the empty string. Okay, so this is how it will work just fine. If I just refresh it, as you can see, it's gone. So our ID is working fine, and you have already seen how I just monitor everything, why it's not working properly, how you can debug all of this stuff. Now you can remove everything from your backend as well as your frontend as well. Okay, first if just check if you've got the ID from our client side, and then check if you pass all the information properly inside the backend. Okay, then it's really fine, but you need to use refresh. If I just click on delete, and now it is firing properly. If I just check the network tab, it got, if I just click on remove something like this one, it got fired. As you can see, it's okay, perfectly done, but it is still inside there. It is not clearing the cache, it is not revalidating the cache. What should I do? So you can do one more stuff. So this is the part where you need to understand and see the video properly if you really want to master all the stuff. And here inside this, if I go to the route, and you need to revalidate the path, and you want to revalidate this path, but still it doesn't work. So you need to go into your like log item from where you have deleted. If the response is okay, you can do one more awesome step. If the response is okay, you can show the toast message. Okay, and also you can use router.refresh. You have to import the router. Const router is equals to use router. Next navigation it should come from, and router.refresh. It will refresh your home page. Okay, so this is the page would be refreshed if you just add delete. So click on delete, it is gone. If you click on delete, it's gone. So now the cache is updated because you have refreshed the page after it is deleted. So now it's working just fine. So for deleting, this part is super important. Router.refresh is super important inside your client-side applications. Okay, after deleting. So this is the tricks that it took me a long time to learn, but I'm giving it for free without letting you know how much time I have struggled learning all this stuff. So this is the main nitty-gritty that I want to really show you. Okay, so you have to give me all the that's why I'm telling you that just share and subscribe as much as possible, like all my videos, so that lots of people get benefit from these videos, because I am making this with so much hardship and just using a tons of my time, valuable time, to just show you guys how it's working properly, how the new guys can shine in their development career. So that's why I'm just doing it for the benefit of others. So you have to just help me a lot in this journey. Okay, so remove is done, so it's perfectly okay. So you will get the code after it is done properly. So now I'm gonna make the video to search everything. Okay, so searching is also real. I'm gonna do the most amazing part is how you can consume the backend API route inside your server components. So that is the most important part. So previously I also implemented the search feature using the backend route as well. So that was using the server actions, but now I'm gonna do it using the API route. So if I just search in for fashion, it will give us all the fashion related blogs based on the category. If I search for web, it will gonna give us all the web development framework this related blogs. Okay, so that is the most important part. If I search for any like movies, it will give us all the movies related blog. But if we just go into the search component, as you can see, if you have it, it will just get all of this stuff. Like you need a search params to get the search parameter, and you need to use path name, and based on this path name you're going to get the full path. Okay, full path of your applications, and from there you need to use the search params, and you're gonna parse from URL search params. You're gonna use the search params to get only the query. And in the params, if you see in the params.set we have the query. If you have the query, you need to set the query, and this query is when we search something like fashion. As you can see, the query and whatever the user typed fashion, okay, on this search box. So this is the query we need to set. And by Nextjs, if you type something, it automatically adds this thing. If you see this thing, the path name and %sign and params dot to be string. As you can see, this is the example. Because of 3000/blogs and %sign and the params, and this params is actually the query, and this is why it is so important. Okay, so to use the search params, by using the search params and URL search param, you're gonna pass the search params, and you're gonna get the query whatever the user wants to query. This query is the parameter. You can set it, you can delete it after it if you use it properly. So everything is really awesome, but I already did it in previous video in the part 1. Okay, so that is the most important stuff. And in Nextjs, how you gonna get this query inside your this URL? You're gonna get this using the search params. If I go into our root page page.jsx, here as you can see we got this search params, and if I just console.log this out, console.log search params, you're gonna see all this stuff. Okay, as you can see the this is the query, and if I search something like science, okay, you're gonna see the query. Inside the search params we have the query, and the query is what? Query is actually the query parameter. This is the key value, key property, and this is the value whatever I searched for. This is science. Okay, so this is the value that we are getting if we just go inside this search params.query. So this is the way the Nextjs server component handles all the query parameter, all the filters. If you have like pagination, you will use page is equals to search params.page, whichever page you are currently in, and you can work with it. Like here you're gonna add page is equals to 1, page is equals to 2, all of this stuff. Okay, so this is really awesome. You can get all the stuff. In the next video is all about how can you do the paginations. Okay, so that's just a demo of it, how it works. And also you're gonna get all the query. If you have the query, just parse all the information like title that contains the query and category that contains the query, and make sure you convert it into the lowercase. It will work just fine. But now I'm not gonna do this here in this particular page. Keep it aside. I'm using the Nextjs app API route to handle all of the search feature on the blogs feature as well. So first we need to create an API routes. First we're gonna create a new folder called API/my blogs, API/my blogs, and here I'm going to create a route.js file, and here I'm gonna just I already have something like in the register page. I have the API routes. You can copy this thing and paste here, and yeah, I'm just cleaning something. Instead of post, it is get request, and you need to have a request, and we don't need bcrypt. I'm just cleaning everything. We don't need any of this stuff. You can remove all of those things. Okay, so you have a problem while fetching. Okay, while fetching the blocks. Nice. And for fetch you need 201. This is our blogs data. Okay, we're gonna get all the blogs first. Okay, in our blogs applications. So I'm gonna use await prisma.blogs .find many, and you're gonna use find many here and return all the blogs. And here as a data property, I'm gonna pass all the blogs. Okay, so blogs data. Okay, so I'm gonna fetch all the blogs here. So how can you do this stuff really easily? And because I have created my blogs in API/my blogs route file, now I need to access this thing to get all the blogs inside our application. So for that I'm gonna build like in the app folder, I'm gonna go into blogs, and inside this I have to create one more folder, which is my-blogs, API/blogs/my blogs. Okay, I'm gonna create a new page so that we can consume some data, and this should be my blogs page, right? And this should be also a server component. Okay, so let me check this out. So this is our original blogs, and I should go into my blogs. So as you can see, this is my page where I'm gonna get all those blogs from. Okay, beautiful. And I can reuse something. If I have something like blogs page, I can copy all of this stuff here. I can copy all this stuff here and go to my blogs, and you can paste this out, and you can import this search because I have already worked with the search. What you're gonna get the params query. You're gonna get API/blog/query is equal to whatever you type. Okay, so this is really important. We have to access this thing if you want to work with the search system. Now I need to access the blog. How we can get the blogs? Okay, so this is the most important stuff. And here you need to use asynchronous task because you are fetching something from the database, so it is super important. And I'm gonna name it all my blogs, so that we can make sure you have a different blog, because one blogs is for showing in the home page and my blogs is for showing you how the API routes work on the Nextjs app API route and how you can handle this search feature as well. So as you can see, now it says the blogs is not defined, and for this I'm just gonna comment it out. Okay, it's working fine. If I search something like fashion, and as you can see the query fashion is working, we're gonna get the search params and get all the query the user typed because I have this search. Okay, and here we're gonna have a search params, from where we can get this search params. So we're gonna write const query is equals to search params dot query, otherwise keep it empty. Now here we're going to build a function, so const fetch blogs. Okay, fetch blog, this should be an asynchronous function, so you need to use async again. Here in the try catch block I'm going to use something like const res is equals to await. I'm going to do the fetch call to our API routes. API routes, it should be API slash my blogs. So localhost 3000 slash localhost, you can copy this thing, localhost 3000 slash API slash and go into my blogs, my dash blogs. So this is our API route. Okay, and then we need to have like method, which is get method. Okay, and we have the data application slash JSON. So these are all the things that we need. Okay, and you have to add cache is equals to no cache, otherwise you won't see when you add something into the data here. When you add any blog, you won't see the real-time blog data. Okay, when you fetch. So if everything is successful, if response.ok, then we're gonna return something. We're gonna const raw data, you're gonna get it from await response.json. You're gonna get the JSON, and in the JSON data, now I'm gonna get the blogs from raw data dot data property. So if I go to the API route, as you can see, we get all the blogs inside the data property. So you have to access this thing. So if I go there and raw data, and it's gonna return all the blogs. So this is the API we are accessing from our server component. We need to call this thing now, this function fetch blogs, otherwise it don't work. So previously we used to do it like use effect. In React we used to do it in the use effect. Okay, in the use effect we used to call this fetch blogs, but now we used to call this inside this fetch blogs, but now we don't need this because we are working on the server component. It is useless. Okay, so you can directly call this out, which is fetch blogs inside the my blog server component. As you can see, this is an async, so you can directly access this fetch blog, which is actually accessing your backend and getting all the data from your backend and saving it into your blogs and returning all the blogs if the response is okay. Okay, it is just getting all the data from your backend. That's it. This is just the function that you need. You just need to call this out, and it will fetch everything. So you're gonna get all the data inside the blogs, and you need to use await because this is the async function, and now you have access to all the blogs. So if I just uncomment this out, this part is straightforward, very straightforward. I just build an API routes to access it. I just build a function called fetch blog, and that gets all the data from our backend, and I'm just consuming into our my blogs server side page. Okay, so this is the awesome stuff. If you have any like params ID or any other stuff, you can also access this thing here and pass some ID, and it will be cached here. Okay, as an argument. Okay, and now if I just check this out, and we need to just import the blog item. Okay, it should be blog item. I need to refresh everything and npm run dev again, and this is this is our page blog slash my blogs, all my blogs, and here we're going to implement this feature. As you can see, all our data is there. It is working just fine. And if we just console.log this out, this blogs, you're gonna see all the blogs. Okay, see, you got all the blogs. So that's the beautiful stuff that you get. And if you have a server component, you have to log it out and see all the results in your terminal. You can see it inside there. You can see anything here. If I console.log, you won't see anything here. See, it is a different page. And if I go to api/my blogs, this is our home page. But if I go to my blogs, my dash blogs, this is the page we are currently working on, and we are fetching all the data from our backend using the API and Nextjs app API route. So if I save this out, as you can see, this is working really fine. It is fetching all the data from our backend API route. So this is really beautiful. So if I add some more data, like we have, this is movies category. If I add one new blog with this image, and this is new title, and this should be science. If I add one more stuff, it is added, and as you can see, new blog is added properly. So it is working really fine. And if you don't use the cache, no cache, you won't see this real-time information. So that's why it is super important. Make sure it's super important to revalidate the cache or real-time see the blogs after you add. Okay, so this is really important after doing all this stuff. But now how we can do the search feature? Now if I just search something, if I go to my blogs and if I search something like fashion or science, it is not working. But we can actually get the data. If I just zoom in, as you can see, the query is equals to science, whatever I typed. So we need to catch that query. Anyhow. So we are already getting all this information inside our page, which is our my blog search params. We are already getting the query. We already logged it out. Okay, so we need to pass this query anyhow. So we're gonna pass this query, and if I'm gonna pass a default params, which is if the query is not found, just give it an empty string, that will work just fine. And I'm gonna use it here, API/blog/query. I'm gonna use the query, and I'm gonna pass the dynamic params, and this should be the query. And I already passed the query, and it should handle it. This is actually this query, this ampersand query is ampersand query, this one query. And now we need to get this data anyhow, whatever the user typed. Okay, and we need to collect it inside. As we have passed this as an argument, we need to catch it inside this function here in the outside of this component, and you can just copy this out. So this is the way we can collect the information, whatever the user typed, okay, inside this query. Now we need to catch all this information into our backend, and we need to work with it. Okay, and otherwise it will show some problem. You can't assign all this stuff. Okay, let me use let query, and if you have some params, you can use this stuff. Now it is working just fine without any issues. And you can also make it empty by default by keeping it empty. Beautiful. And now we need to get this information. This is our root API route. Okay, we need to catch whatever the user is typing inside our app API route. So if I go into my blogs, we are using the same API routes. We are using the same API route to do multiple stuff. If some user types something, that will see the filtered data, otherwise give us all the data. Okay, so we have to handle all this stuff. So first we need to get the data. So const query data is equals to request dot next URL dot search params next URL. First we need to console dot log our query data. So we have to console dot log whatever you typed. So if I type something like web, and if I just check it, See, in the next URL, we are getting everything. We got the path, API/myblog, and the search params, which is the query. This is how we search something. And we already got the search params. So this is the property we need because it has the data query. Okay, so we need to get the search params, and it has the query params. Okay, so here we need to go to the search params.get, and we're gonna get the query. Okay, so this is the thing that we need. So this is the query we have. If you have like query parameter is search, and then whatever user type, then it should be search. Okay, then it should be search. But actually we are getting the query, so we have to use the query here. So by this, you're going to identify whatever the user want to search for. If it is like category is equals to something, title is equals to something, okay, then it would be category. So this is the params. This is super important. This is how you're going to get the whatever the user search for. Okay, so it is better to use next URL and search params.get. So this is the important stuff the Nextjs is giving you, and if you don't find it, just keep it empty string. Okay, so now I need to filter it out. So let where condition is equals to empty object. So to make it more cleaner, you can use where clause here, where if you have like query, if you have a query data, then you're gonna search for like category contains what you search for, like what you have searched for, find based on the category. If the category is like fashion is existed, then give us all the data. Otherwise give us all the data. If you find any query data, give us all those data that is user typed based on those user type. Otherwise give us all the data. But I'm not making it so messed up. I will just gonna use the where condition here to make it more cleaner, and here I'm going to use if have the query data or the search query, then we need to search for something like where condition, and I'm going to use like category is equals to like that contains query data, and you can make this like lowercase. I want to make it this query data lowercase. So query data is equals to query data dot to lowercase. Okay, and keep it a check because if it didn't find anything, it will give you an error. So it is always better to check this. So query data. So now it should work just fine. We got whatever you search for, and based on those search conditions, we're gonna get the data, and it will search based on category. If you want to use like or, and here you can pass multiple data like title that contains the query data, or you can use the like category that contains the query data. Okay, you can do search on multiple features, on multiple properties, but I'm keeping it very simple stuff here. So this is how you're gonna get all this data, and now I think it will work just fine, and it will give us all the information that you need. Okay, so if I go to my blogs, and now if I pass this information, and if I search for something, it should first. So first step, it will gonna get all the search params from the whatever the user searched for. Okay, this is the search params, and it will pass all the data inside our fetch blocks as a parameter. This is the query that I passed, and based on this, we're gonna fetch all this information from our backend. Search something like fashion. Yeah, it gets the query, and based on the query parameter, it should fetch the data using from the backend query. Yeah, but it is not fetching. So let me check what's the problem here. And if I just remove this thing, I'm gonna pass the query, and yeah, now it works just fine without any issues. And if I search for web, and if I search for movies, and it will filter based on the category. If we do this for title, it will work for title as well. Okay, beautiful. If I search for science, you can see all the science category. So it works for every single purposes as well. So our search feature based on this Nextjs app API route is also working properly, and we can also fetch the data inside our page, which is my blogs page, using the this API route. As you can see, we got all the data from our API, and we created this fetch blocks function, and we're gonna call this thing inside our my blocks server component. We're gonna call this thing, and it's gonna fetch all of this our beautiful data inside it. And for search, you need to create this. If you want to do filtering, you can add filtering feature and get all this data inside our this page. And if you have one more filtering page, if you make this based on price, it will give us like this. Okay, a pipe symbol, and you're gonna get the price. If you have a page here, you're gonna get the page. For pagination, you have to use this, and you're gonna get this data. And for that, you need to create one more pagination component, which I'm going to talk about in the later part of the video, not in this video, in the next part of this video, where you're going to understand everything in full detail for pagination in other stuff as well. So till then, take care, bye bye. I'll see you in the next video with more awesome and beautiful content in the near future.